Welcome to the Video Game Collectors Podcast. We got your host, Matt Rose. We got a regular down here, this dude, Eric. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Brandon Ackley here today to talk about bowls, it appears. So, Texas Longhorns, I imagine. Is that what that is?
It is I'm gonna blank on the name. It's like a Scottish
Oh,
cattle. Give me a second, I'll think of the name. But yeah, they have like they have hair and fur over their eyes, and I think they're still not even sure why. Like evolutionarily speaking, like they should have
oh yeah.
evolved out of that, but for whatever reason they haven't. So I think they're native to Scotland, but
Yeah, really cool. Sorry. So we're not going to talk about cows or bulls at all, cattle. Um, I think we're here to talk about video games. So maybe Matt can bring us in on that.
No, I'm titling this episode, We Talk About Cattle.
We talk about cattle.
Making a note
Yeah. Okay.
right now.
Actually, speaking of cattle, I did a documentary in college about removing barbed wire from the uh, open range uh, where people let just cattle graze free back in the day. And there's like all this old barbed wire on this federal land. And so it was about removing the barbed wire. But then some people were like pissed off about it, like leave it. People should be able to do what they want with the land. But yeah, it was fun. That was college. And most of it was drinking in a campground. So anyway,
win-win.
that's my cattle story. Other than that, I just like to eat it. So
Uh, why don't we introduce kind of people? I have a feeling a lot of people know you anyway, but Brandon, what's like how did you get into collecting? Like where did video games start for you? Because most collectors they start somewhere. Where'd that start for you?
Yeah, I'm sure I've run into probably a bunch of you guys watching this. I'm Velvet the Elf on Instagram and John Vega on Facebook. So context there, but it's not relevant. So um, I've been in the hobby actively collecting since 2019. So kind of like right at the tail end ish of Nintendo age, I was on there poking around when that was all started, or not started, but kind of nearing the end before Mr. Jeff killed it all, sadly. And how I got into it was pretty funny. I guess I remember distinctly I was running on a treadmill, and as anything with physical activity, the goal is to keep your mind off of actually what you're doing and focus on something else, or whether you're watching a movie or whatever. So I'm watching YouTube, and you know how the algorithm at the bottom of the screen like strings together things you may be interesting in kind of a chat GPT weird, incredibly um, correct way that's relevant. I watched some video, and like the next one that came up was like Magic the Gathering card sells for $50,000, and I was never into Magic, but I was aware of it. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I collected baseball cards and things as a kid and was always just kind of a collector at heart, really, as I'm kind of finding out later in life. And so I click on it and I'm watching through it. And of course, it talks about, the famous Power Nine card Black Lotus and how it sold for XYZ 50,000. And my head immediately went to like, I wonder how many kids that are now adults have cards in their closet that are now watching this video going, I wonder if I have a Black Lotus in my closet, and everybody rushes back or cleans out their attics or whatever. And so the next video was about sealed video games. And I was like, what the heck? And it was one of those things that I don't know. I never in a million years, the thought never crossed my mind. I love Nintendo. I played video games growing up. Like, I think as probably for all of us, it was a huge part of our childhood and growing up. We're all probably very similar ages. Um, and I remember that very, very fondly. And so the idea that a Nintendo game could still be in the plastic wrap and I could recreate the experience of walking into Target and holding a game with the plastic wrap, to me elicited this sense of nostalgia that I had not had in a decade. And I still think that the emotion, if it is an emotion, nostalgia, is like the most underrated emotion and misunderstood. It is so powerful and so, I don't know, genuine and innocent and clean. Like I don't know how to describe it. And you can't manufacture it. You can't fake it. It's either there or it's not there. And there's only
Yep.
so many things that trigger it. And for me, man, it just triggered it. And I was like, I don't know. I was like walking around the gym, like I was walking on clouds. Like it never occurred to me that, 30 years later, you could still pick up a game still in plastic. So that was the trigger. And so I stumbled into, the internet, and I found Nintendo Age. And I think what struck me early was I couldn't find any of them. Like you looked on eBay and there were a few of them, but you were looking for the Castlevanias or the Super Marios. Like I'm a huge NES collector almost exclusively, even now. But and then that triggers FOMO, right? Where I'm like, okay, these got to exist. How do I get these? And then you get onto the Instagrams and you click who people follow and you get down this massive rabbit hole, which is exhilarating. And then you start to find the different people. And then, I remember my first like big-ish deal in video games was with Wade, actually. I'm not sure if he remembers. He's done so many goddamn deals at this point. But I remember messaging him on Instagram, and I'm a complete nobody. He's never heard of me before. I have like no reputation, no followers, nothing. And he had like Super Mario 2, a Castlevania, a couple other games. But then I remember him saying, okay, why don't you just like friends and family PayPal me or something? I can't remember if he did goods or services. And I'm like, at the time, I'm like, oh my God, am I about to like wire this dude like thousands of dollars? I've never met him. It was just this whole world that in like a week had turned my like life upside down. I'm like staying up late looking at stuff. So that's how I got into it. And as you can tell, it's never stopped. So I've been through the 2019, kind of run up into the 2020 piece, and then the 2021, obviously euphoria, and then every step along the way. So I'm loving it. At 42 years old, man, like I'm looking for cool shit to occupy my mind that isn't work and family and like me time type stuff. And like this just is a complete solution to scratch that itch for me. And I don't know. I love the fact that I wake up every morning and I have something to look at and search for and find and collect and check my eBay save listings and how did that auction go? Or, oh, it's Tuesday, check Heritage,
Yep.
like, I don't know. I'm, a simple person, but like, I love that stuff, man. I love it.
And each piece of that doesn't that each piece of that process kind of, at least for me, doesn't that trigger a little bit of that nostalgia as well? Just like I mean, you put it into the perfect words as to why video game collectors are the way they are, is that feeling that you get, that memory, that trigger.
So good.
I
It's
think
so good.
what, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, when I feel it, what's frustrating is it's hard to share it, right? Like everything I think that is fun in life is mostly done by sharing it with other people. Like going to Vegas by yourself would be miserable, right? But like with 3 or 4 friends, like it's incredible. Like, till the hangover hits in.
A
But
few days, yeah, you're right. Vegas is fun for a
yeah,
few days. That's it.
yeah, it's about 48 hours and then that's about
Then
it.
you're like, I never want to come back.
Yeah, exactly. But like that, the feeling it's hard to, and that's why I think like the community obviously has been talked about a lot in the podcast and, media circuits. And, that's why, I've been chatting to you guys quite a bit because like you guys, I know you guys get it. I know you appreciate it. And like, I want to share it with other people, but, I don't know, man, it is like, and it's invigorating. It's refreshing. And like, I don't know, I feel like the secret goal of adults is really to stay kids as long as you can, right? Like I look at my son right now and I'm so jealous, right? Like so jealous. The kid's got like no real responsibility. Like he has teenage-ish problems, but they're not real problems, and they're temporary. And like I would give anything to go back to be that age and go through that experience now. Like being an adult's like not all it's cracked up to be. And like, so I don't know, the nostalgia bit, the like what it feels like to be a kid again, the like human evolutionary piece that like you typically only remember the good times, right? Like, you don't really ever
Yep.
focus on the bad times. You're kind of like
Yep.
shading the past a little more positively. It's like a video game. You look back and you're like, that game was awesome, man. Do you remember that? And then you plug it in and you're like, ooh, this is like pretty garbage. But yeah, man, that's the fuel for me. That's the chase. And I mean, I absolutely love it.
Did you what's like your first memory of actually playing a video game though? So you're 42, so you might have hit the tail end of Atari. What was your
Yep.
first system or first game, or what was that?
Yep, great question. We did hit the tail end of Atari. We hit a few games in there, Warlord, a few of those games. But it really the like light switch flip. Oh my gosh, this is correct. Was Nintendo. Like I remember when we first got a Nintendo, my sister and I, we would play it, and it was just a completely different experience. I remember getting off the bus, and we would literally like we had to take our shoes off when we got home, or like we'd get in trouble, and so we would literally like race each other off the bus, and we would risk not taking our shoes off and getting in trouble later because we wanted to be the first one to grab the controller so we could play the first life of Mario and inevitably die quickly after. But that was it. Like Super Mario NES and then everything after. But oh, so good. And still so good. Like those games are just, to make a game 30 years ago with that technology and it still be playable now and enjoyable, like I mean, what an incredible, incredible feat.
Yeah, that's how it was for me and a lot of friends. And I still remember kids lining outside the door to come into your house and play because they knew you had a Nintendo, at least in my neighborhood. Yep. It was nuts how much of an effect that one game system could have on not even just a generation of kids, but I remember parents coming in and playing and having a blast and getting that interaction with their kids. I remember watching some of my friends and their parents play together and just having a ball. And I was like, how cool is that?
Yeah, 100%.
And there was scarcity of games back then. It's not like the digital, everything's available at Amazon and Steam and whatever now. No. I mean, you went to a friend's house and they had a game you've never heard of or never seen, and it was instant, Pandora's box. This could be anything. This could be the best game I've never heard of, I've ever played. And like, he was instantly my best friend until I got to play this game, right? Because, the games back then were pretty much the same price they are now. You adjust for inflation 30 years back. Those games were pricey. 50, 60 bucks way back then was like a ton of money. The standard of living's obviously risen, and I think, 60 bucks now is not what it was then. But I mean, it wasn't like, I had, friends all over the sort of like socioeconomic spectrum, but like even the, better, well-heeled folks did not, it wasn't like they were sitting on 100 games. No. Like you maybe had 10 and that was it.
No, even,
and it was,
yeah, I was like, even if you wanted 100 games, you couldn't go, at least for where I would have gone, is our Fred Meyer, or maybe Payless had a couple of games, but they weren't as great. Fred Meyer had the selection, but you couldn't buy 100 games because they didn't have 100 games to buy.
Yeah.
There just wasn't that selection. Even though there might have been 100 titles out at that time, they didn't have those.
No. Different stores had different availability. They would sell out. It's not like, everyone, I think it's spoiled with Amazon now where there's like unlimited inventory and you can get it in about, 3 hours. And now it's like, you could walk into Target or whatever, and they just don't have your game. And you're like, well, you want to drive 100 miles and hope the next store has it?
That is how yeah, that's the worst part.
So
the
true.
Old school driving you always call up, right, in advance. Like, hey, do you have this game before I leave? And drive with MapQuest.
I'm sorry.
And back then, if say like Super Mario 3 came out, you weren't going to go to the store and get it. It was gone. You had to wait.
Yeah.
It was like
the craziest rushes were the holiday season systems. Like the year the N64 came out, that was insane. That Christmas. I mean, it was like crazy. It just was a different time back then.
Yeah, you nailed the memories part, because as you're it's so funny because as you're even telling your story and seeing your expression, it gave me the exact same feelings because I'm relating it back to my experiences, and it's incredible, and it's so much fun that you can share that with other people, which is why I love this podcast forum, because I'm sure there's people watching now that are hearing your story and getting that exact same feeling, and I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It really is.
even Eric, that wasn't born when Nintendo came out, probably is still getting the same feeling. Eric,
we played some other games, all right, after those years. Some
yeah,
other games that came out.
you grew up with Nintendo, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that was like always the console that I played starting out, and even like early PC games like Doom, that kind of stuff. But obviously that's a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, Nintendo, I played a decent bit at like friends' houses, family friends' houses. My parents are pretty strict on video games growing up. So I got the Game Boy when it launched, which was pretty dope. But yeah, when it took a bit to get something in the house. I'll say that much. My parents weren't super lenient on. I mean, they thought TV was fine, but video games were not. So
And
just a
then
hard
So are
stance.
we witnessing like Catholic schoolgirl syndrome with you now? Just being
No, it's not exclusive to Eric though. I think it hits us all. We can get up every morning and buy a game now. That's nostalgic because when we were kids, we wanted to go in Toys R Us and do the shopping spree and just go to the video game aisle. We didn't want to.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
I
that's
liked it
why we
anyways.
have the games we do because we can. Because when we were 6, 7 years old, we wanted to have them all then. Like that was it. We just had the limitation of, you know, how much money you made or your parents made or whatever, or if they even wanted to have video games in the house. Usually when that happens, that makes the kids want that shit more. And then they end up working in fucking video games. Pardon my language, but yeah, like that's just
I have
it.
a twin brother, and he doesn't work in video games. Okay, so it's not
Yeah.
it's not exclusive.
But
I used to have a television show when I was growing up, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically a TV show where like I think after you won some like silly trivia, like it was always a kid got to walk down these like aisles of video games, and he would just like shovel in as many games as he could into this bag or whatever. And I was just watching that like, oh my God, I would cut off a finger to be that kid and throw in all of those games. I mean, it was like everything. It was like, the same way $100 to a 10-year-old is like a million. It was like, you might as well be shoveling like, diamonds into a bag is how it, manifested in my head of like, wow, wouldn't that be, if you could make a wish and have something happen, man, oh, I would do that in a heartbeat.
you guys remember the toy store sprees that like Toys R Us used to do?
Yeah.
We used to win it, and I would sit back and just imagine, oh, what would I do? Grab the cart, and you just have that,
Yep.
and you just like
Yep.
Nintendo aisle.
Yep.
yeah, I'd be like,
Yep.
I want the miracle piano. I want that. I remember going to Toys R Us, they had it on display, and it was like $300 for the accessory. I'm like, oh man, see, mom, Nintendo can teach you how to play piano. It's not just video games. I really remember the miracle piano display. I don't know why. It was just it really, I don't play piano either, but that it just like really stuck with me that it was more than just sitting down and playing a game, right? Like it was interesting. The Power Glove display too. Shit. Toys R Us had nice displays.
Yeah, Toys R
I
Us.
mean,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
distinctly remember like, walking, you like walk into a Target or whatever with your parents and you're like trying to keep it together right when you walk in the store and you're like slowly picking up your pace, like out of fear that there's some other kid who walked in at the same time as you who's after the same game with the same, availability to buy, and he may get there one step ahead of you, like borderline sprinting down the aisle like you know, a complete degenerate. And it was like I could like feel my heartbeat like pounding, harder and harder and harder as like the excitement grew. And then you'd get there and you look at all the things and I mean, oh God. I mean, if I could recreate that as an adult, man, I would do anything.
You got to come garage sailing with me, Brandon. Fight some of the local guys off because when I see a sale and I get there and I see my competition pulling up, man, I get that feeling. I'm like, all right, it's on. I know where I've like scoped out the photos. I know where they're keeping the games at this sale. Going.
Is it Matt? Who do you see pull up? My God.
There's people in town here that collect games. Like I went to St. Vincent de Paul today and picked up a bunch of crap I really didn't need. But when I was there going through it, I like picked through all the good PS3 games, and I got the 5 games that were underpriced, right? So, and then the local competition, the girl comes up, she sells on Whatnot and eBay or Facebook Marketplace, and I've seen her before at flea markets, but she comes up, she's like, "Oh, you collect video games?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And she's like, "Are you looking for anything?" I'm like, "No." I mean, yes, but no, I don't need anything. Not really. I'm here just being a
Not
degenerate.
at cost.
Yeah. But the competition's out there, man. It's real. So if you want that target feeling of beating somebody, the best place to do it is at a garage sale, man, because that is competitive as hell.
True.
Yeah.
Cutthroat.
Yeah, in
Not to
LA,
say that it always has to be.
in LA, you get to the place and they say, "Oh yeah, someone contacted me when I put my ad up and asked me if I had video games, and I said I did, and they paid me extra to come early." Like,
Mhm.
holy shit. The amount of
Yeah,
times I heard that, I was eventually I was like, who is this competition? It's like 6, 7 a.m. Pretty
oh man,
wild.
I've taken it to the level of where, you know, um, certain suburbs are aging out based on parents leaving that, like moving
Oh
because they
my God,
retired,
this
their
guy's
kids
a
are out of the
terrible
house.
person.
I've done it to that point where I'm like, okay, I'm only going to garage sales here. I don't care what the ads say. I just know like this is an older neighborhood. It's very likely it's not a new family having a garage sale with shitty Wii games. And I've been pretty
I thought
successful.
you loved Wii games.
I do, man. I bought one
We caught
today.
him, Matt. We got him.
He loves anything that's got that dollar sticker on it. He just buys
Yeah.
it.
No, I just like the word Wii. So
Oh,
Well
anyway,
played. Well played.
yeah. So yeah, getting that nostalgic feeling. And we all secretly wanted the games when we were younger. Every one of them. I
For
wanted
sure.
in the Wizard when he opens up the damn case and
Oh yeah, the
see all
power
the
line.
games, right? Like man, I
Yeah.
want that.
hell yeah.
Flipping through like the Funko magazine with every game and a price, and you're just like, I would take every one of
Yeah,
these games if I had the money.
I think I figured it out. Nintendo made us this way. With the Nintendo Power in the back, you flip through. It's like, here's the whole catalog. Which games do you like? And you're like, oh god, it was like the mini checklist in the early Nintendo Power on the player polls section. So like they created this.
It's brilliant.
Video games were meant to be collected. Nintendo Power just didn't tell us that. They just alluded to it.
Which all of this kind of translates to me into game rooms, because that's why I create mine. Every time I step in here, I get that a bit of that feeling, that smile and everything, or anybody else's game room. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, there's some great ones out there, man. Really are cool.
Yeah. Well, I'll just need to go over to Dennis's and walk through that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just an experience, really, right? I
Or
think that's what it comes down to. Why are we doing this? Why do we collect it? Investment. We have a major issue and we'd be doing crack cocaine otherwise. Or we just we like to collect stuff, right? So I don't know. It's the experience of it, right?
or a similar experience actually that anybody can have is stuff like Fred's Arcade in Hillsborough. That's an experience that even a video game collector could. I mean, you go in there for $20 and it's mind numbing. The machines,
Yeah.
because I mean that's where so many video games started, was with machines. You played it at the arcade, and then it ported over, to the home consoles. It was never quite as good, or not necessarily the same until later years. But man, so if you go into an arcade nowadays, a real arcade, yeah, it's insane.
So true. I've taken my kids to a few, and they don't quite get it. I'm looking for this like, that them to like emotionally puke with happiness like I'm expecting, and they're kind of like, and I'm like, what do you mean? This is amazing. Like, because all of those emotions for me come flooding out, and you remember the Matt, you're so right. The like sensory overload, and like it was always for me the music was always so loud and like in your face, and it was like just you're sitting there and you're like, oh my, the graphics were amazing, and it's like screaming at you to play, and it's like, oh my god, this is like I dumped my entire, pittance of allowance in there. I would pay anything to play, another game of Street Fighter 2. I mean, it was just like, oh God, it was so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's now there's like all those barcades and stuff. I was over in Utah and I was
All
playing.
places to have a barcade.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Is that licensed by the state?
I don't, yeah, I guess. And it was, I mean, it was pretty great, but there was some old bunch of, I mean, just like a bunch of different era arcade machines and just grabbing some drinks while you're doing it. And everything was like a
Cool.
quarter, some skee balls,
I've been to a
some
mini
good
arcade
stuff.
in my life, Eric. The hands down greatest arcade I've ever been to is Fred's in Hillsboro.
Oh,
It's
by far.
bar none. Like
Really?
Yeah.
nothing holds a candle to it. It's like
That's-
when Time Crisis 7 comes out on arcade or whatever version they're on, the Dave and Buster's has it, and then they're like, oh, we need to move on to this. Fred's son goes and buys it, and then it's at their arcade. They have like these
Yeah.
massive arcade machines there too. Like it's just next level,
Wow.
literally.
I
Literally.
remember you guys talking about that a couple times on the podcast, and with a similar description, I was like, that place sounds amazing. How far is it from you guys? Is it close?
Hour
Reasonably?
from Matt.
Hour and 15 for me. It's actually called Next Level Pinball Museum and Arcade, and they're actually expanding again. So they literally have, Fred, I apologize if I get this wrong. They either going to have or they do have 22,000 square feet of footage right now. And
I think, yeah.
they're currently the third biggest arcade in the world according to Jordan. I'll find out again next week, but I don't doubt that they'll be either number 2 or possibly number 1 in the next couple of years. Like,
Not only that, they got some other things coming too that are pretty cool. I know in the background, like they're gonna have themed rooms. I know,
right, that's right. Yeah.
but
Yeah, wow.
there's something that's coming along with that was I'm really not at liberty to talk about, but it's really interesting.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
forget just I mean, we're just talking about the arcade machines, but there's room above the arcade machines where there's literally, Fred is he won't necessarily claim to it, but he's the world's biggest lunchbox collector. And so he has all of his lunchboxes in displays above. So you don't have to play games or even like games. You could go in there just to look around for like an hour at the displays, all the collections, because he was a huge collector, which is why he and I became such good friends. We just had that collection appreciation, even though we collected different things. And I mean, there's just so much stuff. And like Josh said, there's some stuff coming down the road that is really going to blow people's minds. It's going to be nuts.
It's cool. There's action figures on the wall. It's
Yep.
It's just an experience. And the thing about it, it's not a barcade. You're not going there. You're not going to have people spilling beers all over the place. Not that I do when I go to a barcade, but I know what happens.
I don't think they have alcohol there. They have some food and snack, but yeah, it's nuts. People have to check it out. It's right off the Hillsboro, Oregon airport. So I guess if you have a small private jet, you could fly straight in there. Or you
if you're LeBron James, you can go to the next level.
Or PDX airport's about 45 minutes from there. So it's not too bad.
No.
It's at 45.
Those are the type of people where I'm like, thank God Fred or whatever his name is exists. Thank God someone is willing to like take wouldn't it be cool and like actually doing it? Like I can't do it in my current state and probably would be unwilling, but like, thank God someone out there is building a 22,000 square foot, thing and like geeking the out of it and like putting every cool arcade, like, thank God someone out there is doing that. Bless him. I will pay whatever you charge me to walk into this place, like just to keep this thing going,
Yeah.
So appreciative.
It's $20 and you can play all you want. The only machines in there that charge money are like the ones where they give you prizes, which makes sense,
Which aren't even his, right? Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's dope.
It's really cool.
I definitely think if we ever do any kind of gathering of any kind where we invite listeners, we invite everybody. In fact, we should probably do that sometime pick a date before Portland Retro Gaming Expo this year and do that. And
Yeah.
we do have the opportunity to rent the whole arcade if we want. So we could literally have our own private group come and do that. So
That'd be sick.
I think we should do it like the Thursday before.
Yeah.
When is PRGE? Wise generally?
October 14th, 15th.
13, 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should just make it an annual thing, Matt, where we do it the Thursday before. People can come if they want. They don't want,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we used to do that with a poker game way back in the day. We'd rent.
I mean, you could have a poker game there. That's right.
Good, because yeah, there's a huge room in there, so Robin could actually do his poker there if he wanted.
Yeah.
And then Eric can play games for 3 days straight like he wanted to.
What I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Beat some games.
Yeah.
All right. Brandon, you had some stuff you wanted to go over though. The plight of the underbidder, adjusting collection goals. The plight.
Yep. Yeah, this is something, we've exchanged texts on this a few times, been talking about kind of things we might chat about on the show, and kind of out of left field I brought this up, but I don't know, maybe I'm unique in this, but I think we've been through, depending on when you've entered the hobby and exactly how exposed you are to the various mediums with which you can collect and view or purchase video games, obviously the eBays and the multiple auction houses, but we've been through an incredibly interesting period here the last 4 years. And like I said, I'm relatively new relative to you guys, in the kind of like mid 2019 entry. But, as all the listeners, I'm sure by this point know, there's video games were in a very steady state sort of leading into that, 2019 WADA era. And then took a little bit of a rise, which then took this euphoric sort of like parabolic jump along with all collectibles sort of around the world as everybody, went through the lovely COVID era. And then we're sort of seeing the deflation of that euphoria come back down. And so the point of painting that picture is all along that curve, depending on, or almost no matter what you were investing in games wise, you saw a huge fluctuation in prices, both like things you may have had in your collection that rose, exponentially, maybe you bought something as it was rising and it continued to go up. Maybe you bought something like I have several times when at near the highs
Yep.
and then seen them come off drastically 50% in 2 months. But it creates a lot of, I guess, for lack of a better description, data points of, various entry points into the hobby. And so I come from I don't know, when you guys were talking about the nostalgia piece, for me, the nostalgia piece, the collecting bug, those are two of the three things that really attract me to this. But I'm also I love economics and markets and trading in general. And the idea of being able to witness almost like a micro economy within video games, and you could pick any collectible, right? Magic the Gathering, whatever. For me as a kind of econ nerd, it's extremely fascinating to see the dynamics of supply and demand play into budgetary capacity and fear and greed and FOMO and all of these emotions that play into sort of this uncertain because with what's truly fascinating is to me is with any collectible, the idea of fair value is completely subjective. I mean, most things value is completely subjective outside of homes maybe, but you go to the rare art market and everyone's oh, well, of course this Picasso sold for X, millions. And you're everyone just accepts it because that's the way it's been. Coins probably pretty similar. Even Magic the Gathering doesn't get a lot of raised eyebrows if you see a Black Lotus hit, a high 5 figures, 6 figures. But then you get into video games and all of a sudden, there's a few video games that pop off and people are what the hell's going on? This is crazy. This is Netherland tulips, Amsterdam tulip market all back again. And you're kind of well, what's the difference? What's the difference between, a comic book selling for a ridiculous price and video games? And, this is a well-tread topic, but the supply of video games is way lower than like your whatever Hulk 151s or whatever it is. So like, you really want to talk supply and demand, like there's really not that many of these things out there. But it's no less or more subjective that a video game has a price than a piece of art, really. I mean, it's a canvas with paint. What are you going to do with it? Zombies take over, that painting's useless. It's not going to help you. And so the concept that you were alluding to that I think still fascinates me with all of these entry points along the way through the last 3 or 4 years is this like this idea of like the underbidder, right? So we've all been in auctions presumably or some point or witnessed them where you're going after a game, you're trying to kind of create what you think is fair value. What is my budget? What is it going to cost me with BP and tax and shipping and all that? Like, how am I willing to, how much am I willing to invest? What do I think it's going to be worth down the road? Is this a collection piece that I don't really care what the value is? Or is this something that like, I think is a good deal and I'm kind of, investing, speculating on it. And like the mental gymnastics I go through being kind of like an econ geek is always like, I've been on both sides of being like the winning bidder in auctions where I'm like, holy cow, am I glad whoever I was fighting with didn't hit that button one more time because that was my last limit and I wasn't going again. And then like 2 months later, I'm going, oh my God, I'm so glad I got that game. Maybe it went up in price. I wouldn't be able to afford it now. And then you think of it from the reverse of like, I wonder what that underbidder is thinking right now. I wonder what the guy who didn't press the button one more time, is he kicking himself? Is this just another game to him? Was that his like childhood favorite? I think one of the, I'll probably oversharing here, but like one of the, probably the single most interesting example, I think examples are fun to go through, specific ones. I had the single most expensive game I've ever bought in any of this hobby. I bought the, Super Mario Brothers Hang Tab 9.48 plus in the July 2020 auction at Heritage. And I think it ended at like 100 and something five. I think I ended up paying like 120 grand out the door, which is, yeah, something like that. Like not chump change by any means. And it was literally with BP, that was my max. Like that price I paid on that. Like I was like, if he hits the button one more time, I'm out. I'm done. And I'm sitting there sweating out this timer, butterflies, running all over the place, wondering like, what am I doing? I've been in this hobby 10 minutes and I'm about to pay 6 figures for this friggin' game. Am I an idiot? Am I stupid? Is this whatever? All of these emotions, right? But like fast forward, into the mid 2021s, that's looking like a pretty decent buy. So like my mind immediately goes to like, who is this underbidder? And like, are they kicking themselves they didn't hit one more bid? Or they, what's the emotions like associated with that? And I don't bring that up to think, oh, haha, I won one. Believe me, I've been on the other side of many more, in the later years where like, I'm looking back going, man, I bet the person who didn't hit that button one more time is really happy because these are not, I'm holding bags here at this point on a few of these puppies. But I think it's a really, for me, like, fascinating, I think, emotional sort of like look back on, and we were even talking before the recording started, but like even the like interface of Heritage is so, brilliant design. Whoever designed it, I think it's hands down the best interface, like no question. But it is like so easy and tempting to hit that thing one more time, and it's just a digital number, and it doesn't really feel like money anymore. It's just like the number of times I've hit that damn thing out of boredom or just to be like, oh, I wonder if he's going to go one more. And I'm like, oh my God, he's not going to go one more. Am I seriously going to buy this? I've been there all the time. Weeklies are crack for me. I bought so many things I didn't mean to buy, but yeah, I think that whole concept, man, is fascinating. And I don't know, it's really, I would love to like see the other side at some point a few years later of like a few of the more interesting ones of being like,
not to mention even to me, the 8 seconds in between, I think it's 8 seconds in between the games. It puts you into like a fight or flight mode. So you don't have that cognitive, you're just like, oh crap, do I buy this? You're freaking out a little bit, which which prompts you to put in more bids than you would. So it is brilliant.
Yeah.
And as you were talking about your over and under bidder, I had to stop and think, and I realized that I've been under bidder to you twice on two specific games. We don't need to bring those up, but so technically we have both sides of that story.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
If I'm ever the underbidder, Brandon, I just move on to the next game, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm getting the next one.
Yeah, you open the mic and say, "All right, who the fuck outbid me?"
I would be salty on the ones that I was underbidder to, but I found out that you were the winner, and I was okay with it. And I don't like on those specific games. I hit my max, like my all-time max, and I was just like, I'll just wait and hopefully I'll get lucky.
Do you ever look at how many bids you've placed, like the dollar amount in bids you've placed on Heritage?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
I just looked, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna bump.
Yeah,
like here's the amount I've won, but holy cow.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
I have not.
They love that
done
underbidder, man. They do. So
I mean, it's especially I mean, if you really, to the folks that were around in those days, but like, especially torturous. I look back at like the underbids I had in like the 2019 auctions, like that November 2019 auction at Heritage was just killer. I mean, it was killer. And at the time it was like, these felt expensive, because like, I think the other thing that I think is, a fascinating sort of like byproduct of this whole experience for me is two things. One is the arbitrary price that gets like frozen in my brain as to what this is worth is like not a good thing, meaning like, and I imagine it's potentially worse. And I felt like the really old school investors had this going into the run up where they were like, these games aren't worth $1,000. This Super Mario Brother had sold for $100 for 6 years. Like this is 10x what in my head is the actual true inherent fair value. Yeah. And like, emotionally you want to divorce yourself from that and like think, try to imagine a world where like that $1,000 game could be a $10,000 game, which at the time feels ridiculous because this, arbitrary price of fair value is like burned in your brain. And like, I remember going into that 2019 auction with the same problem, being like, I saw the early 2019, 2018 prices, and these, who was going to pay 10 grand for a game? That's insane. But like, you look back on it 3 months later and you're like, oh my God, all of those black box games, Ghosts and Goblins for like 6 grand. And you're going, I should have bought every game in that flipping auction.
Yeah.
19 was hot.
Money was just different. Right. Like I look back at that too, thinking the same thing. And I think right now, when we look forward in the future, when we talk about 2023, people are going to be saying, man, why didn't I buy more? Like, we're just reserved. It's fair. I think we all are a little bit. I'm more selective on what I buy. It wasn't just throwing a net into the sea and catching everything. You like just gotta be picky with what you take home. So,
yeah. And the reality of it is
bad habits on that, unfortunately.
I mean, the reality of it is, we're playing Monday morning quarterback, right? Like everybody in real time was going through the same thing. It's not like, 50 people were in the room who all saw the 2019 November auction as like the absolute killer time to buy everything, right? Maybe 1 or 2 people did, but it wasn't like, that's the like thing I tell myself anyway. It was just like, it's not like I was the one idiot in the room who was like, didn't see it coming. It's like in real time, it's much harder to like go through that sort of like, I actually think that's what Wade did really well. I mean, the whole Wade story is incredible. I mean, the guy's timing is, impeccable, amazing, lucky, whatever. But like, he was the first dude in the hobby that to me, I was like, this dude's crazy. This dude's legitimately nuts. Like he kept like, I would talk to him on Instagram or whatever, and he would be like, this game's going to be worth, and he would throw out some crazy multiplier 2 years in the future. And I'm like, this dude is smoking some cool stuff and drinking some cool stuff. I want a part of that, whatever he's drinking. But like, it is bonkers, man. And then like a year later, I'm like, that motherfucker was right. How the hell, So I don't know. The whole, like I said, I'm kind of an econ geek about that stuff, but like the whole price history and underbidder, overbidder. Where do you get in? The other major degenerate flaw I have too, and I'm really curious, maybe people can leave comments about this in below, but like, I have this horrible habit of like, I don't actually know if I want a game until I have it. And I don't know if that even makes sense, but like, I will buy a game thinking I want it, and then I have it and I'm like, I don't really want this. Like, I like it, but I don't like need it. I don't want it as part of my core collection. And then there's other games that I buy and I have it and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like a schoolgirl. Like, I can't wait. I'd show it to everybody. It's like, did you see this? Did you see this? I like love it and I never want to get rid of it. But like, it's very strange to me that in real time, I can't differentiate the two. And so sometimes I actually have to actually purchase, maybe it's FOMO, maybe it's the like, you want what you can't have thing. I don't know what it is, but like, I
Yeah.
have examples of like games that I was happy in like the millisecond after I bought it and I got it. And I'm like, I'm not as cool as I thought. And then there's other games where I'm like, over the moon I have and will never get rid of.
Eric,
Aren't you guys glad you invited me on here?
No, I
Like, this dude is crazy.
you're not, man. You're
No,
pretty
we know
normal.
exactly what you're talking about.
You're pretty normal in our books, actually, Brandon. So don't feel mutually exclusive to that.
What are some games, Eric, that hit home for you on what Brandon just said?
On games that I bought that I was like, I don't really need it.
Yeah. Or vice versa, or that you just, you got in your hands. I can think of some that you've gotten where you've had more joy than you expected and you've bought more since.
Oh yeah, there's some of those for sure. Like a lot of those Atari games I think have been pretty cool.
Exactly. That's
The black
exactly
box stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
it's
mean
just historically right.
before there's, but I was thinking in the opposite direction of things that I thought I really wanted, and then I could just be like, I'm over it. Man, that's a tough one actually. I mean, there's definitely a few that once sometimes I'll buy like two or three, to try and get a good grade, and then I look at them and I'm like, I kind of want all of these, even with some of them being shit grades. Like I have a the lowest graded Halo 1. It's a 7.5 C black label. And I guess I could sell it, but because I have like a better copy, but I keep it, because it's one of those things. So I feel like even with doubles where I plan sometimes to get rid of one or two, I still find it hard to let go. But I'm sure there's a couple. It's mainly like I think the games that I thought were, like games I played a lot of maybe, and then I get it and I realize, oh, you know what? No, I think I played some of these other ones a lot more. Like one of the things, the measuring sticks I have for games that I buy is it's maybe sounds ridiculous, but it's kind of like playtime or like hours spent. Because I've spent so many hours in these multiplayer games, and I think of like, for instance, GoldenEye versus a game like Snowboard Kids. Like I played the fuck out of Snowboard Kids 2 at a friend's house. Had a blast on 64 with it, and I have some memories with it, but it's not to the same amount of hours that I put into GoldenEye or Smash 64 or some of these other games. So I just realized like, yeah, I gotta kind of have them in this upper echelon of a category of, and even I'd separate a little bit between single player games and multiplayer games, but sometimes I'll get some of these games. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I didn't really play it as much as I thought I did, and I could just let it go. So yeah, but I don't think like the grade or some of the other things really, like I said, duplicates, they don't really affect it as much as I thought they would. I thought that I would be, yeah, like I said, be able to let some of those things go still, and I'm still like, I don't want to sell my Halo 1. So
Smart man. Good man.
What about Halo 4?
yeah, I don't own those. I don't own any of those, and I
Look at
certainly
that.
don't own a
I
t-shirt.
sold a Halo 3 and a Halo 4 last week on eBay, open auction. 988 plus on the Halo 4, 94N Halo 3 second print. I want to say they brought the same amount of money, Eric.
Hey, there we go.
But I did beat Heritage's sale on the Halo 4.
There you go.
So
But I
impressive.
mean,
Tracking the
That
market.
that grade post second print on Halo 3, the fact that that's the same is pretty great. Appreciate that. That's a good little. I appreciate that you ran them simultaneously and that you didn't tell me until just now because that's a great story. I love that. Oh
I ran
man.
a Halo 2 as well, a first print Halo 2.
And how did that
Uh,
do?
it was 96A.
Not
It was a
bad.
shrink seal, not a overwrap seal, but
Ah, shit.
do not sell
Sorry.
before, and it 280, cheap,
But better than the other two.
way better than the other two. It's Halo 2, of course, it's better than
Hey,
the other
there we
two.
go. I
Yeah.
just trying to say.
Telling you.
Let's go, Matt. What's up, Matt?
Halo
And
3.
if you ran a Halo 1 with that thing, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty. It's
Oh, yeah.
let's
Yeah, I
go
have
here,
to have
Matt.
a Halo 1 though.
So I might need to change that shirt at some point, brother.
Mm.
Oh
We'll,
man.
we'll go we'll go over the Halo 4 market later. I was the underbidder this week on that one, so
Yeah, you're
again
pumping it
again
because you're
with the underbidding and the over.
like, where's the fucking stash, dude? Like, just pull out the bin of every week. I know this guy's just winning the Hot Weekly Halo 4s and he's just chucking them in a fucking garbage bag.
He's
Like,
gonna send them all to
bullshit.
you
It's gonna be one giant prank. I promise.
and build a chair out of it. Anyway, yeah. Halo
Oh god.
sucks.
Oh, like,
What about you guys? Do you, Matt or Josh, do you guys have games that tickle the like, I bought it, I don't really need it, or the like, I bought it and man, this is just hitting different.
Yeah, I mean, there's some games like that for sure. I think for me, it's gonna be most games just hit all the same at this point, unless it's like, I can't say that. Super minty high grade always hits different.
You
Any
live
game.
what is it? Ocarina, right? Is the game that hits different?
Yeah, I'd probably burn them if I got them. No, I actually bought the GameCube Master Quest off Heritage last couple weeks.
Oh,
The
there it
98.
is. Dan
But
Kaplan is smiling somewhere.
yeah, probably in Canada if I had to guess. But the if it's something that really hits, it's going to be super high grade condition. Doesn't have to be graded, right? Like get something in the mail. It's beautiful. I'm pumped. Or it's going to be promo mock-up display boxes, anything like that. That's like really what hits me for some reason. I think it's because I've just gone through this evolution as a collector for so many years that I've touched and had my hand in just about every avenue of a way to collect, right? Cartridges to, I got a few instruction manuals, and then I bought a lot on eBay that had some Nintendo Powers and some CIBs, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go CIB. And then I get almost every Nintendo game CIB, NES, and have a huge Super Nintendo collection. And then I'm like, I'm going to buy prototypes. And then I'm going to buy sealed games and, then sell stuff off and do that and just morph through collecting. So it was never really about money in the beginning, but
Josh is the biggest swings I've ever seen in like his collecting radar, and then just getting rid of it all and coming back and like building the biggest, craziest collection again. And it's wild to watch you over the last.
But it's fun, and within it, there's all this discovery, right? Like you get to this point, and I think some people are there right now where they might feel a little jaded with what they've got and where they've gone and how they've collected, but that's okay, because you can leave it, you can come back to it, we always say. And but I think that with the discovery of new stuff, new variants, new finds, new seal collections, big collections where people find a storage unit, that's exciting stuff, and that's what keeps people going.
The hunt is the
hunt. Yeah. Yep. So
there's definitely, I totally agree with that. And I think there's like, especially after you've got a few at bats under your belt and like, the collecting side of it. And, at least in condition sensitive, not necessarily sealed, but like condition sensitive CIB or sealed, like there is something different, especially if it's raw, holding an absolute crispy cardboard box that has like pointed sharp corners, and you're looking all over this thing and you're like, how has this thing survived, how is it still in plastic, how has no one opened this? but like, how is this thing in pristine condition? Like, that's like a level two, I don't know, fun experience where it's like, this is incredible. And like, I don't know, there's another level, I guess, of appreciation that you get if you're like, and it doesn't happen often. I mean, it's very
No,
rare, but holding one
it's
of
that
those,
dopamine, man.
you're like, this thing is crispy, it is tight.
You want to heighten that feeling. You get yourself a case pack of Atari games, open them, feels really nice, right? You pull them out, they're crisp, they're all bent, and they look like hell usually. You want to take that feeling to the next level, find a sealed case pack of NES games and open it yourself and pull them out yourself. Just the feeling of it. It's like opening, I'm not kidding. It's like when you get a new iPhone and you open the box and it kind of like has this slide off effect. When you pull open that first NES game out of a case pack, there is a feeling to that. I'll tell you what. And you look at it and like there's nothing wrong.
You just opening case packs over there? What's going on?
I actually opened a bunch of win, loser draws at one point because I wanted to take the baggies out of them because they were so cheap for CIBs.
Yep.
I was like, I'm going to open 15 of these sealed win, loser draws. And
so Matt has Halo 4 stash and you have case packs on deck.
I got some case packs, not any NES right now though. So mostly modern shit and Atari.
So the beginning and the end.
That's right.
Yeah, I'd have to say on your question, Brandon, I'd have to say like one of the coolest things that I buy, and I'm more excited when I get it, is Atari games. And I don't know what it is about those. I just think they look so good, at least in old school WATA holders. They're cool as hell. They're affordable, which makes it even more cool because then I don't feel like, I risk this huge amount. So it's not going to have the huge swings. And I don't even care because they're just badass. And like you said, it's wild to me that something 40 years old, 40 plus on some of them, can be in that shape. Like, how did that happen? What safe were these in? How do you get a 9.4 on an Atari game that never had cellophane or plastic? How is, yeah, exactly.
Like, that shouldn't exist. That nice.
No.
That looks crispy, man. Jeez.
It's so nice. And when I got it, I didn't even look like that in the photos I got. I'm like, does this guy have a case of these? Is he taking them out of a case? They're insane. You're right, Matt.
And then stuff that and that, Josh and I talking about Atari bled over into Eric, and he got fired up about Atari games, and I think that's the coolest thing too, and just seeing his appreciation for them.
I think part of that, Matt, is, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but part of that is any of the old Atari collectors. You got the Atari game and a lot of the NES collectors, but NES really set the stage for sealed, right? But any of the old Atari collectors, they weren't sealed video game collectors at all. Nobody was really a sealed video game collector, and nobody really appreciated truly mint condition games. Like there wasn't, you get one and you're like, yeah, I like this. It's part of my collection, but it's not all of my collection. But when you try to put together truly mint or near mint copies, it's impossible on Atari if you're a CIB collector, because every damn copy has a ripped hanger. Like not every copy, but a good majority of them, the boxes are just thrashed. The inner parts of the box, they were not well constructed, and so the cartridges have smashed the inside of the box. It's quite insane actually with high grade condition CIBs on Atari. So it's got this next level of collecting that I just don't think the old school Atari collector appreciates. So
that's interesting.
Tangent there, Matt.
Oh, I was just going to say, and stuff that I bought that I just don't really give so much of a rip about are games like probably like PS3, stuff that I never played. They were cool. Maybe it was speculation. I have them on my shelf, and I'm just like, I could do without those. Why do I need a lot of that stuff? There's a few in there that I would like and keep and stuff like that, like any Call of Duty or something like that. But yeah, stuff like that. I just, nah.
I've had a couple of the most obvious example of like, what game did you buy and you didn't want it after you had it? There's like, the inevitable like hard to find rare-ish game that you finally see pop up on eBay and it's like, instant click buy it now and you're like happy about it and then you get it and you're like, okay, have it. This game doesn't mean anything to me, right? And we all have like, you know, our sort of like limits, whether it's space or budget or whatever. Like it isn't like, I have unlimited space for games. Like there is some number in there where I'm like, all right, you know, whatever it is, 20, 40 games or whatever, 100, whatever that number is, like, is this really one of the slots I want to take up? Like, I got it. I sort of like tick the box. Like, I don't really want this. It doesn't mean anything to me. I sort of climbed the mountain. I found it great, move on to the next thing. But it just doesn't do it for me like some of the other ones where
Yeah.
you have it and you just like pick it up and hold it and you're like, this is it, man. This is the shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
What was that game?
What, the rare one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that you got, and you're like,
yeah.
obviously it wasn't Chrono Trigger because I see that shit back there. But
Yeah, no. Honestly, one of them was I found a sealed copy of Magician on NES,
Hmm.
which like was one of the like 10 games you never see anymore. I don't know what the pop record is, or maybe it's one or
Zero?
it might be
No.
the what's that?
I think it's 0. I don't think they've graded one yet, have they?
I think there's one. It might be the
Okay.
one I've got. To like 908 plus or something. But I know, I mean that game means nothing to me. I've never seen it, I've never played it. Um
One. It's a 9-0.
yeah, that's it. And I don't know, like Hatteras was another one that like you never see, and I got it, and I'm like, the cover art's not good. Like, I like other than it like being hard to find, it has doesn't resonate with me at all. And then I start thinking, I'm like, okay, what is my goal here? Is my goal really to get every hard to find game? Well, like sealed stadium events, that's not going to happen. So like, you're not going to complete the metaphorical set, buddy. So like, how far are you going to take this? And so that's when I'm like, all right, I have X number of slots, and this gets into sort of like the refining. I think everyone, talked about this a little bit, like the constant refining of like, what are my collecting goals? Kind of what are the fence posts? What are my, what do I really want to focus on? And like, because like inevitably we have to sort of like, or at least I do, like I can't keep everything, right? It's not like, part of this hobby is like putting things back in the market to use the money to buy new games. It's not like, you know, um, I think there's very, very few people, if anybody out there, who can just continue to buy and never have to sell or, put that money back in get some of that money you spent back and use it on other games. So I don't know. I guess there's a handful of those games that I'm like, I could keep it, but like probably somebody out there that cares more about this than I do, and could use this money for something that's really going to resonate with me, type thing.
That's fair.
A lot like what Henry was talking about, just refining.
Yeah.
the collection.
I think you should keep Magician. Don't get rid of that. I have 2 sealed copies, but they're raw and they're not that nice. So oddly, I think G.I. Joe is the harder to find Taxon game than Magician.
Oh, the white one?
White box G.I. Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
Same
see that
publisher.
much.
Yeah, that's a banger. I would feel great to have that one. I got a great core memory like with that game specifically because I loved G.I. Joe so much growing up, right? And so that specific game, I'd love to find a nice sealed copy,
Eric,
nice high grade.
I think Eric knows somebody that has one of those.
Yeah,
The
Eric,
G.I.
you got
Joe?
one? Yeah. Is it a nice high grade?
No, it's a shit grade.
Yeah, I know.
It's great.
The artwork has something to do with it for me too. Like a counter example to that, to a game that I never played, it means nothing to me, that's hard to find, is like 2 games, like Uncharted and La Empereur or whatever, that French emperor game.
L'Empereur and
Yeah.
and Uncharted Waters. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Koei
Those are
games.
murder to find. Murder. Like I've been looking, I search NES sealed every day on eBay multiple times, and like I've seen it like once. But
Yeah.
like the cover art for both of those games, for whatever stupid reason, for me, I love and I pick it up and I think they're cool ass games. Like Hattress and Magician, don't care.
Yeah.
And
Those
again,
fall into the pipe dreams sort of games. Yeah. Bullshit.
yeah,
Covers, yeah.
and like that's the piece for me that I couldn't have predicted I wasn't going to not buy it now or whatever, however I got it, until I get it and I think about it. And like a few weeks later, I'm like, I don't really need this one.
So did you sell it? You're keeping it, right?
I still have it. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Don't do that. Don't sell it.
Still a hoarder, collector, degenerate.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. I mean, I think there's other games where I'm disappointed that I didn't pay more attention before I bought it. And then I'm like it sits in the corner like a redheaded stepchild. So, I don't want to look at it, but I know it's there, and I can't be a douchebag and return it because I should have read the description. It's not on me really, other than just not paying attention. Yeah. Like it happens all the time actually, because I'm just not paying enough attention to something. So,
yep.
Yeah. But then I justify keeping it because it's like, it's not sealed. It might have a snag in the plastic. It might have a rip, but it's mint inside. So there's that justification of like continuing to be a set collector in certain things and keeping stuff just to have for part of the set because I know it's a mint game.
Yep.
So, which is horrible. Yeah. It's horrible.
It's
a huge issue. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Looking up something real quick here to reflect on, and then you guys feel like reading comments? There's not too many. Don't worry, there's not 60.
Perfect.
Anything crazy like that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. So first I'll let me just share the screen here. I just want to market cap. Let's see. It's always good to look at the market cap on things and
market cap.
Yeah. So Halo 4 is 119 this week. I was the underbidder on this.
Let's go.
Yeah,
I think it was of your day.
It would have ended at $36, but somebody just ran me up because I had a pre-bid and I just watched him go ding 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 all the way. So yeah.
So what did the one sell for the week before, Matt?
Good question, Josh.
Yeah. This is how we track the market. $106. That's there's a low point of 104.
Yeah, we had a 94 back here in July 25.
Oh my gosh, is that the bottom of the market?
It could be because the week, let's find another 98. Yeah, 134, right, July 18th.
July 18th, so July 25th, $94.
We're seeing the bottom of the market right here.
People. Damn, that's like a year to the almost date of the sale, right? The Mario.
You can see the uptick here, 104, 119. So, so 104, 106, 119. Yeah. So
you guys are dead serious.
Yeah, it's back up.
Yeah, dude. No, it's a game you can track every week.
Yeah. So that's our market update.
Is it well known that there's just a bunch of I mean, obviously there's a bunch of those copies.
Somebody sent a bunch to Heritage to grade, and then they've trickled them out, over the last year and a half. Every week there's a Halo 4 and 9.8. I feel like
9.8 A plus is the specific grade that I'm always looking at. But,
yeah.
And you just can't get one, huh? You just never win them.
I'm the underbidder on the last 3 or 4, to be honest. So just saying.
Matt,
are the 9.8 plus pluses?
There's no 9.8 plus.
Zero?
But my theory is that if you bought like one of the 9.8 pluses and just subbed it by itself, these all came out of a case.
That's what you said to Dan, wasn't it?
Hold on.
Dude, Matt, check this out. Hold up. Go back real quick. Go back to the Heritage thing.
Oh, you're killing me.
No. Okay, so 106, August 8th, right?
Yeah.
Mine sold August 13th for 113.83. And then Halo 4 on the 15th sold for 119.
There you go.
The market is healing.
On the way up.
Halo 3 actually sold for $2 more than my Halo 4 map. So anyway, interesting game you can track week to week though.
Yeah, plenty of data points.
And it's better than, I don't know. I feel like it's a better metric than Grand Theft Auto Trilogy.
I'm going to say that there's 8 A pluses and 86 9.8 A pluses.
There's 8.
There's 8. Josh,
how many Spider-Man for 2600 are there in 9.8 A plus plus or A plus.
Oh,
You know what's weird, Matt, is I have 9 A plus pluses on my population report. How is
really?
that possible?
Oh, is that a cross variance though?
That's a cross variance. I was just
Oh,
looking at
you're right.
the specific.
Boom, look at that. 62.
Wow,
Oh,
62,
man.
58 A
Is
plus
that a
plus.
gen? Is undefined
Oh,
gen? What is that?
oh,
Undefined. Oh. Maybe NS. I don't know.
No, they always point NS as well. They always cover NS.
yeah. Let's
So
see. They should. I think they put
Yeah.
NS in place.
It's like looks like a typo probably. That
Yeah,
they don't have a column.
Undefined. One.
yeah, it's probably something they put in there where it didn't compute correctly.
That's a lot.
10.
Still only 118 of that graded though. Like, yeah.
All right, let's read the comments.
All right.
I'm hopping with this.
I'm eating my soup there. Look at that.
It was so funny.
I was sick last week, man.
Man, that's
It's a
weird
good
that
episode.
popped up like that. That's funny.
What's the new game in your background, Josh? A Zelda game? That's different in this background.
Where at? Right here?
Yeah.
That's the display case Zelda. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. Display only
That's cool.
box. I bought in the modern auction on Heritage. It's European though, so it's really shit I shouldn't buy, but I did.
We're gonna make Brandon read his own comments here.
Right? I feel like such a D-bag.
Great. The green shiz. Great show as always. Always excited to see what Josh is eating.
True.
Do you know who these people are by their names or no?
Most of them, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Who's this? Eric, you want to get this one?
Yeah, I appreciate
Douchebag. Yeah.
Gomez being informative and thorough as always.
Yeah, we don't.
Straightforward.
That's weird.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
I like that one. Josh, maybe you should get your mom's comment.
yeah, she's on top of it, just like she's on top of you, Matt. That
Yo.
Josh's shout out to Lega's former podcast with Savage. What did I say?
It was funny.
Whatever, Henry.
I remember it. I actually laughed out loud when you said it. The irony is they just came out with a new podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, irony. I didn't think it was that bad. Was it? I wasn't trying to be mean, or maybe
No.
I sound snarky or some shit.
It was a little snarky, but it wasn't.
Did you
There's
make
no
a
intent
comment
behind
about
it.
the former podcast? I don't remember.
Yeah. He
Probably.
said something like, I forget exactly what it's like. Something like, oh, like Allegra's podcast, old podcast or something.
Oh,
What the comment was.
I didn't catch that. That's weird. Wow.
I don't think I remember it. I try to go back and listen to myself and see how stupid I sound after these, so I can feel better. But I usually fall asleep.
Shows you I don't cut much of anything.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon, you got this.
Yeah. I don't know why there's a number. I know you guys brought this up on one of them. I have no idea what that number is. I don't think I have that on my real name, so I don't know what that is, but it doesn't matter. But some D-bag wrote in, send Dan some used Wada socks as a prize for the most viewed non-host guest. So I thought for sure when he was like, I need a prize for like being the most watched next to Dennis, and I thought you were going to bring out the old Wada socks that you've dangled as a carrot prize before, which obviously he probably has many of.
I think I'm gonna send him some used water socks. So
You know, Dan was going to be on the show.
yeah, what happened this week?
He couldn't make it because he was busy collecting cans from meth addicts to play arcade games at the mall.
Huh.
That's an inside joke.
Do they have a nationwide can deposit program in Canada?
Oh, maybe.
No idea.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Is this me?
Sure, go for it. Why not?
I have a stack of Super Nintendo boxes somewhere. Of course he does. Yeah, Josh has something somewhere.
Yeah, I see. I do have those. I bought them from Adam Harvey years ago.
Chris Glidden, as a Canadian, oh boy, we got 4 Canadian listeners now. I just came to say that we shall pour maple syrup on your collections in order to extract revenge on behalf of all.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
I got the next one.
Yep. All right. Yep. Go for it.
I'm willing to bet you don't have a flat Mario Kart box in your collection. There's a reason why so many people was interested in that piece. So, yeah, you're probably right. I don't have one, but I should go look. Also, I think this was the seller, so he's probably a little jaded that I said something. But that's okay. I think it sold for too much money, so I'll say it again.
Yeah. It sold for more.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about that flat Mario box?
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
I mean, I think they're cool as hell.
Brandon probably
I mean,
bought it, and I feel like a douchebag now.
No, I've done plenty of dumb things, but and not to say that that's dumb, but like I just can't like
yeah.
that the whole like how many out there thing like would haunt me. And the like at the end of the day, it's like what you could the opportunity cost of $6,000 or whatever it was. I'm like, there's a lot of things that I would feel really happy about for $6,000, and that's not one of them.
Does this guy really want to bet me that I don't have one of these?
I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't take that bet.
I might.
I love that you might and you're not sure.
I
love
I
that.
know one flat box that you have that's way better than that Mario Kart. And
Yeah, I got that Gyromite big box. I'll bring that out.
man, that's
That's dope.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm gonna make a nice mint CIB one.
that's worth. That's
Yeah,
worth.
I don't know. It's a cool thing. I've always liked flat boxes. I've known VGA would grade them for a long time. I think VidPro cards are great too. I love this display shit.
Yep.
It's really neat. I admire it. And somebody who wanted that admired it as well. So
That's where the whole like underbidder thing to me comes in. I'll sit here and be like, who the hell spent $6,000 on that box? Somebody else was like 5,800 for it. So it's not like one guy lost his mind and doesn't give a shit about money. Like there was at least 2 people willing to spend $5,000 plus on this thing. And that's where I'm just like, what am I missing? Like it's cool, but like really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Like I said, I was bidding on the Dragon Warrior one, but 1,000 was definitely my cap there. Just because that's one of my favorite games of all time. But
yeah, old school guy bought that too. Eric Shizmeki on face, posted that. Blarky.
Yeah, I think he posted it. Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah,
Congrats.
he's got a nice little collection of flat NES boxes. Those are cool. I mean, there's a thing like they weren't just handed out to like you got them off the printing line because you just didn't. So they were handed out through distributor reps, and when somebody ran a small mom and pop video game store, reps would come in, they would hand flat boxes, people like put them up for display. That's how a lot of this pre-production shit got out there. Like this one right here came from this guy on eBay, Game Seller. This is a mock-up box. This was used at CES, or they gave them to certain stores, to just like put it up for display. This is a game that's coming soon. It's stuff like that. And they would get stacks of flat boxes from places. So it's not unrealistic that more stuff like this will be found. So I'm
going to leave
I hope it.
I'm going to leave this window on the side open so you can see, because when you hold stuff up that way, you can see.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I normally close it, but it's no big deal because it's just gibberish on the side anyway. Big box game shop. I completely forgot that I joined, but very happy to be here and be first of hopefully many more. Hey, we really appreciate that. Thank you. Josh's mom, she signed up second. Had to go to the desktop to see the join button that's cut off on mobile.
Thank you. I'm actually amazed she actually knows how to use a computer. So
thank you, Josh's mom.
Yeah.
I can do the next one. Marty, the one man party 6006, laughing out loud. I thought you kicked him out of the video chat again. So this is in reference to Dan Gomez being accidentally booted from the 69th episode with Mr. Dennis Kahn. And then he left at one point, which I thought was him. I thought he was actually trying to play a joke on you guys and like leaving and not coming back to have like the last laugh. But
He did.
Yeah.
That was all him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. It was brilliant because that's why I was laughing so hard because he did it. And I was like,
Well done.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, Marty, look at that.
Dan Gomez has a poker face, man. He is hard for me to read. Like sometimes he's like when he said something of like I can't say that or I can't share that or whatever he said, I could not tell if he was kidding or not. And then he was like, "No, I'm kidding," and I still couldn't tell. I'm like, "No, is he seriously kidding? Is he not?" Like completely stone faced, no body language, facial expressions to help fill in the contextual clues. I was like, he's got me, man. I have no idea what he's talking about.
My girlfriend literally said the same thing earlier tonight before this podcast. She's like, I can't read him.
I can't either.
You just got to hang out with him, right? That's it, and you'll know.
Eric, are you up? Is that you?
Oh, yeah. Just noticed my first comment might have gotten deleted, but those pineapple lumps are from New Zealand. They just started making it in Australia recently because it's cheaper. But I checked, and the Tim Tams are from Australia.
Tim Tams are good, man. Those are like a classic Australian dessert cookie. Super good.
Well, apparently, the pineapple lumps are now Australian as well, log snack. So, don't know what to say.
I was eating Tim Tams before the show. I ordered more on Amazon.
Is this profile picture you, Matt? A picture of you?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know what it's like. Me,
you got a fan?
Something
sends
on
you food.
Super fan.
I don't know what I was going to.
Hopefully, it's not like a Buffalo Bill type of guy. No, I'm just kidding. That's me. Okay.
Go for it, Josh.
Timothy says, "Have I seen the Carl Joss video?" I actually haven't.
I haven't either. I didn't want to watch it.
Actually, I watched it. So
it's painful.
It's whatever. Get that click, make that money.
Doesn't he join
$1,000 on YouTube?
Doesn't he join like commonly join the Dylan get the
Discord?
Greg?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I had to mute all of those because it was just like it was the most active all day long. My phone is just dinging at me. So
yeah, that's annoying. Right.
I was like, oh my God, I got to mute all of this. It's insane.
You mean after the video came out?
No,
just the Discord.
Yeah, the SAC Discord is so active. It's nuts.
It's literally nuts. It's a sack.
All right, who wants the last two? Brandon?
Sure. Blockbuster late fees claims first gives himself a medal and first to post on the newly publicized or published episode.
Did you give him a medal, Matt? Or is that an emoji?
No, it's an emoji.
Oh.
Do you have any way of seeing how long after you posted it this message came in? Like was he here within minutes or was it like seconds or hours?
Normally I look back and I refresh it. I have a way to look back, but yeah, if there's somebody that's like close next to each other, or I can just come up here and I can just put sort by newest first, and then that'll tell me. So if somebody actually beat him, then all right, I'll read my girlfriend's. Liquid Death is Wada. That she was disappointed that we missed the Wada joke. And Matt loves Terry Clark, and I do love Terry Clark. That was my crush in high school for sure.
Yeah,
it wasn't Phoebe Cates.
No, it was Shania Twain and Terry Clark.
Okay, Shania Twain.
Dude, how could
Shania was a good one.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody bring some wins? Anybody got wins?
Yeah, I'm always buying stuff.
Yeah, I probably have something if I turn
I'll
around.
show you what I got. I got some dumb stuff.
Brandon, did you bring anything?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Oh, I got a cool one. Yeah.
I was rewatching some of your, full blown degenerate, watching some of the old episodes of actually this podcast, when I'm like whatever cleaning or doing something and I just want something in the background and I catch every like seventh word or whatever. And there was I forget which episode it was, but you guys were talking about some of the like in television games, the ones that like have zero sealed population reports and like, even like minty CIB ones are hard to find. And like that's another, I think, for me, attraction to the hobby is there's so many different cool vectors of like collecting. It's not just like, NES sealed or whatever. And like and that's where I really honestly think like a huge amount of value for things like this and this podcast come in are the education piece. Like, there's nowhere on the internet where that I would ever find to read any of this contextualized the way it is. And, the way that, you guys do it so well. And so, you had mentioned, I think Josh, you were talking about a couple of early in television games that are like murder to find, like Commando and Tower of Doom. And so I immediately like flip on crazy eBay search and I'm looking at a bunch of games or whatever. And so I just picked up a decent, Tower of Doom CIB. There weren't many of them. I don't think there's any sealed. Love the cover. It's pretty nice. It's obviously not perfect, but I don't know, similar to your Atari, it doesn't cost a ton of money. There's no like, speculative, like, am I gonna, blow the mortgage on this purchase if it doesn't work out? But
Right. That's a banger one too, because those are unofficial AD&D games, right? There was no license tied to them for Dungeons and Dragons, but they are Dungeons and Dragons games. So that one and Tunnel of whatever it is, I can't remember the name, but they're really cool, tough to find. That's a pretty nice box. I think there's a variant on it too, on a barcode or no barcode. I can't recall.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
So yeah, it's a cool one. I always love that cover.
Any gatefold in television?
That's IT and Television Corp.
No, I know. I was just saying in general, any gatefold in television to me is like that's just cool in general. But that art on that game is pretty sweet.
Wicked rad. And the Commando art's really cool too. Like
it is. Yeah.
I like that late in television stuff that's just kind of sleepers. Like there's always been the rarities that have been tough to find, like the stadium mud buggies and the volleyball bullshit. But I think those three games are like the coolest of the late in television by far. But anyway, yeah, nice pickup.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you get, Eric? Anything?
Yeah, I got one thing, but
one thing.
Maybe I already showed you, but I don't know. It's
Please be
one.
Halo 4. Please be
No,
Halo
it's
4.
not.
Yeah, nice grab.
Dude, that's nice.
Well done.
It's okay, Just, there's a couple, things, but
doesn't matter.
Complain. We can't complain here.
First print.
Yeah.
Just people sleeping out there, Not gonna name any names, but
me.
People are sleeping out there.
I think I threw that in the group for you guys.
Hey Matt, what can you say? People are sleeping.
Did you buy? What was the ending price on that?
It was actually the listed auction starting price.
What was that?
I think 125 or something. Pathetic. So
I threw it in the group, and Eric was the smart one that grabbed it.
Hey, wow. I appreciate your help, Matt. Thank you. Let me give you a shout out for a game this week.
Appreciate that.
That's like 1 to every 100.
Whoa! No, that's a good one, especially since it just sticks the dagger into our friend here. So,
I'm sure he's got like a case pack of first prints sitting somewhere.
I don't.
Oh, let's go. This one is a real dagger, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, Pac-Man's a dagger. I only have my nicest copy is like a bullshit second print that's a 9.0. So that's it.
I do want to.
Matt, don't help him out.
I,
He's been doing this too long, dude. He doesn't deserve your help I mean, come on. He needs to figure it the fuck out.
I'll
No,
always
I'll do that.
Josh. I do appreciate this group specifically. I want to say this before I forget, because this is one of the few groups that we have, personal chat that we've always got going on. But this is one of the first times where we kind of got all of us together to have some fun. So I want to thank you guys for that too.
Yeah. Thanks for it's been fun chatting.
Yeah,
Know each
definitely.
other.
Josh, what do you got?
Totally agree.
I picked up this today at a thrift store for $5.99. Sealed copy of NFL Game Day 2001 with Marshall Falk on it. Pretty badass. I don't have that. Bought a sealed Kirby's Air Raid because I needed that for GameCube. Open auction. Pretty scuffed. Nice box. Replaced my copy of this game.
Right.
I got this for $52 because nobody showed up. This thing is next level rare, sealed. Simpsons skateboarding.
You're going to use
I've
that
seen a couple of those.
frozen aerosol to get that sticker off.
Yeah, I just haven't done it yet. And then I bought some others from the guy because they were so cheap. Lord of the Rings with the cool Circuit City sticker still on it.
Is it the
Doesn't have the
collectible?
cards.
Okay. Hey, gotta ask.
Red Faction 2.
Nice.
Bullshit greatest hits. Coolest game I bought that
Sick.
I pumped about. Space Invaders for Super
Dude, I didn't comment.
K through A. There's only one on the pop report.
I know. I let it go the week before because I was watching it and it got relisted.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, and then
see, I hadn't checked
didn't
that
see it.
save
No one
search
saw it
for-
the first time, and I blew it by missing it. And
yeah, they posted it back up, and I sent them an offer like that was above sold listings because they.
I know. I saw it get relisted, and I was like, "Shit! It got relisted. I'll have to wait another week. I'm an idiot." And then it said this auction is you missed it, and I was thinking,
Yeah, I sent them an
fuck?
offer of because the E-rating ones they sell for like $45-50.
Yeah, they sell for.
So I was like,
price, yeah.
I'll just send him a $150 offer, and he took it. I was like, all right. So
That's not bad. Damn, good. Yeah, good on you. Because
yeah,
I screwed up.
it's just
I didn't even tell you about it because I'm a scumbag.
There you are because you wanted it for yourself. I know.
Yeah,
how it goes.
I just to be like on this show, right, and be like,
Yeah.
hey, I got the K variant that you probably
No,
wanted.
dude, I looked for that a long time too.
Really? Fuck
it
yeah!
was-
I'm dead serious. I blew it the week before, and I was going to rub it in your face. I promise you. So
I've known that
winning
game
this
even,
turnaround. Yeah.
even CIB that game is hard to find with the KA on it
Yeah,
because it was
I'd never
released
seen
in
it.
'97.
I'd never seen it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's cool.
it's a late K through A Super Nintendo game, so super cool and made in Japan, not Mexico.
Nice. Hell yeah.
I bought other shit, but that's it. So
Good win.
Sure. Yeah.
I just got some random stuff. I just got a random Frogger. I think I paid like $35 for it or something.
Nice. I
Intelligent.
want to know what the first print.
Yeah,
I haven't looked into it yet. So
Yeah.
is that first production, dude? Do you know?
That's in television. I think it came out in television first, actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Speaking
don't
of
know.
television, so
Enough.
Yeah.
Ramping up the coolness here. I know this is, our other passion, but I did get,
Who's our? Who are you talking about?
Airborne?
Our other passion.
Have you never seen this VHS? Have you never watched that movie, Eric?
He doesn't even know what that shit is.
I know of it, but I haven't watched it.
Now you should go watch it. I think it'll change your life.
Can you send me that one so I could?
Yeah, this one's CIB. I mean,
Meant to be watched.
funny part is they're
Meant
not
to be
cheap.
watched. That's right.
It's so fun. They are not cheap. And then there's a few other people on here that will appreciate this.
Oh my god, what is
We're
it?
kind of crossing, some stuff.
Probably a laser disc.
Goddamn paintball gun.
Why you gotta ruin it, Josh?
What is it?
Oh, it is a paintball gun.
This is a pretty sweet collector piece in the paintball world. It's not like one of the tops, but the Cap Flame series are just badass because if you want a sweet ass wall hanger, that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
And I have to thank one of our viewers for that one, Brian. So thank you, bro. We did a trade deal, and I appreciate that. So
Nice.
you got some games, and I got a paintball gun. Actually, he got a game, and I got a paintball gun.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
He probably won in the trade.
I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it.
Sorry.
I'd say
I guess it's all value in the eye of the beholder, right? Like
I think long term he's winning for sure.
Yeah.
So do you not like use that? You just display it, or do you actually use it?
Paintball guns were meant to be shot, Brandon.
I'll use this one.
Get it right.
Not a lot, but I will go out and shoot it for sure. But that one specifically, it's just so cool looking that I probably would use it as a display piece.
Mm-hmm.
But I try and use all my guns. Maybe one or two that I wouldn't.
How many do you have?
Ooh. I started collecting paintball guns almost 2 years ago. I think Brian can correct me on that one. But I think I'm at somewhere between 14 and 20.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
Wow.
I was expecting like 50 to 100 with the way you were building it up over there.
I was
Like,
pretty
holy
selective
shit.
though. I used some of my video game stuff and was like you were talking about selective, and I only bought stuff that connected with me and that I really wanted. I bought a few randoms,
So
but not really.
So if you have any other desirable paintball gun variants out there, you let us know so that we know what we got as trade bait for your games.
Bro, if you, Eric, Brian is on par with you. I'm telling you, this guy he is a sense of genius. And he knows what I'm looking for, and when it pops, dude, he messages me right away. I'm like, dude, how did you find this?
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
He's a wizard, but it's just so much fun. It's just, to me, it's just like video games, just the memories. Because I see it, I'm just like, I'm right back in the paintball world, and yeah. And they haven't. To me, that industry hasn't quite. It took a bump. It did. The prices in there did go up during the, the COVID boom, but they haven't really. Listening to their comments and watching them, it's just like in the video game world. They have that set, like you were talking about, Brandon. They have that set price for things in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so when I shifted over into that world, I was just buying because I was like, dude, this is fair.
cheap,
yeah. And I was just grabbing, and they thought I was crazy. And I'm just like, what? It's like, no, you go over in the video game world. I'm not crazy.
That's what people were saying from the card world when they came over, man. Like, that was it.
But to me, it's steals because, I mean, some of them I paid more new for those guns back in the day than I am now. And I'm like, I know there's not a lot of them. And it just, yeah. So
are they variants of like the same gun? Do they have like different, like shots per second, or like, are they all?
There's so many variants, and people tinkered with their guns, and there's guns that were used by professionals, and you have it's a whole nother world, but it's.
Are there rules to like modding them? Can you only do so many things, or is it all fair game?
There were rules back in the day. Like, there were things you couldn't do, like on field, if you were caught like messing, with your gun to ramp up the feet per second, you get in big trouble. You get, maybe team eliminated or players pulled in the game, stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's just the collecting bug. I don't want to ramble on the, video game collectors podcast, but yeah, I'm just, it's just watching.
Save that for Dan Allegra's new podcast. Collecting world, Dan. I'm serious.
Oh, I got you.
That's true.
It's across the board. It's all collecting. This is video games, man. Get your shit together.
It's just interesting to see the economic side of it, and the prices, and I can totally see, I don't, maybe there's not a market in there, but it's just interesting to see. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Enough of that. Anything else? Anybody got anything else they wanted to get out there? And
nah,
this is fun. This is cool.
I had a good time.
Yeah,
thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks, Brandon. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for doing this. I really do well, in all honesty, look forward to when these come out and listen to them and watch them. And I know they're kind of a pain, time wise, everybody's super busy, but I know probably speak for the whole audience, all 5 listeners, that we really appreciate you guys doing this. So no, but seriously, it is really cool. I love listening to it.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate that. That's why we do it, and so that means a lot. At least I can't speak for us, but
No, thank you. Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Got to stay regimented. Keep doing them.
Yep.
And feel free to chime in and keep us in line, or we always love thoughts or questions or ideas that we can work off of. So we always appreciate that. But thanks for taking the time to come on. I mean, I know you're Chicago time, and it's midnight right now, so thank you.
Oh, good. Loved it.
And Eric, you stay up till 5 a.m. anyway, so
I gotta go get some dinner.
Oh, I thought you were getting lunch. That's it. If you guys have any questions or comments for Brandon or Eric, leave them below. Hate mail goes to Josh, and love you all. See you again. Oh, no. That's not it. No, I almost totally forgot about this. So I do have an announcement.
Let's go.
And this is going to be some of the prizes that we're going to be giving out. Yes, we haven't forgot anybody on episode 69. But we did have some fun, and we did make some shirts.
Look at that. Those came out well. Damn.
And
I would argue they're cooler than some socks that I've seen. Potentially.
I don't have the gray ones yet. They mailed them to me. I don't have the black ones yet. They mailed those to me.
Wow.
Those I had to redesign the logo to get it to work on the black. But it's on the way, so I'll show those next week. But I don't know if I'll leave a link in this. I think maybe next week when we get the other ones, I'll leave 2 links. I had to, create them on another website that I'm jumping off of. And then I'll give everybody on here a coupon if they want some for savings. And we literally, again, aren't going to make next to anything on them. So I just want to get them out there for anybody who wants them.
Those look great, man.
Thanks. But we'll be giving those out, and definitely when we go through the winners of all the comments of episode 69, I'll eventually just need your information. I'll just ship them out to you.
Yeah.
So that's it. Okay, I think that's it. Covered everything.
Okay.
Thanks again, everyone. We appreciate you. We love you, and we'll see you again next time.
So good. See ya.
Bye, guys. Thank you.